The noise of the trucks on the outskirts of São Paulo has never been just urban noise. It's the sound of a bigger problem: heavy loads crossing the largest Brazilian metropolis, sharing space with cars, buses, motorcycles, ambulances, and millions of people on the move. Now, between the city of São Paulo, Guarulhos, and Arujá, a project marked by delays, unfinished tunnels, exposed overpasses, and broken promises is moving forward. It's the northern section of the Mário Covas Ring Road, the missing part needed to complete one of Brazil's most important highway projects. It's about 44 kilometers of infrastructure, lanes, tunnels, bridges, overpasses, and connections with some of the busiest highways in the country. But this story isn't simple. Construction started, stopped, aged along the way, and now it's trying to fulfill its original purpose: to take some of the heavy traffic out of the city. Stay with us for the next few minutes and understand how this stage could complete the São Paulo Ring Road and why it took so long to finish. The northern section of the Ring Road is located in the metropolitan region of São Paulo and passes through areas of the capital, Guarulhos and Arujá. Its function is to complete the northern section of the Ring Road, connecting the existing segments and creating an alternative to the traffic that still depends on the city's urban roads. In practice, it links major highway routes. The first stage between Presidente Dutra and Fernão Dias is 24 kilometers long and began operating at the end of 2025. The second stage goes from Fernão Dias to Raimundo Pereira de Magalhães Avenue, where it is supposed to meet the western section in the Bandeirantes area. When it is complete, it will be almost 44 kilometers long. According to the São Paulo State Transportation Agency, ARTESP, it will be 43.8 kilometers long, with 107 special engineering structures. In total, there will be 44 bridges, 63 viaducts, 7 double tunnels, and a 3.6 kilometer branch to Guarulhos Airport. More than just a bypass road, this route connects highways, the airport, industrial areas, and logistics centers, as well as making access to the port of Santos easier. But if the purpose was clear, why did it take so long then? The idea of the Ring Road was born to tackle an old problem in Greater São Paulo: excessive through traffic in the capital. Many trucks that used to travel along the Pinheiros and Tietê expressways did not have São Paulo as their destination. They entered the city to access highways, connect to industrial hubs, head to the countryside, the coast, other states, or the port of Santos. The Ring Road was created to distribute this flow, forming a highway belt around the metropolis, and the west section was the first to be built. Then other segments followed, but the northern portion, one of the most complex parts, was left behind. The construction began in 2013. Over the years, the project faced stoppages, contractual restructurings, and a long wait. According to the São Paulo government, the construction site was idle for about 6 years before work resumed. This pause left physical marks: abandoned tunnels, exposed structures, and work fronts that needed to be restored. The operational turnaround came after the section was granted to Via SP Serra from the Via Pia Group. The contract was structured in 2023, and construction resumed in April 2024. From then on, the concessionaire started participating in the construction and will be responsible for managing and maintaining the highway for 31 years. This change helps explain why work picked up again. In December 2025, the first section was delivered. The connection between Dutra and Fernão Dias was open to traffic. Even so, the project will only be complete when the second phase, up to Raimundo Pereira de Magalhães Avenue, is finished. The story makes it clear: the challenge wasn't to build a road, but to recover an interrupted project and turn it into functional infrastructure. In 2026, the construction of the northern section of the Ring Road entered the final stretch. The first stage between Presidente Dutra Highway and Fernão Dias Highway was delivered and began operating in December 2025. The final phase, from Fernão Dias to Raimundo Pereira de Magalhães Avenue, reached 68% completion in June 2026 and is scheduled for delivery in the second half of the year. In other words, the project is no longer just a promise. One part is already operating and the other is still under construction. The implementation was divided into two major segments. Section 1, which has already been delivered, includes the construction lots closest to Dutra and Fernão Dias. There are 24 kilometers of road, 3 lanes in each direction, 4 tunnels totaling approximately 2 kilometers, as well as bridges and viaducts. This segment also received a robust support and control structure with smart cameras, a monitoring center, a motorist assistance base, and a highway police base. In practice, the highway starts with automatic toll collection, no physical toll booths, and real-time monitoring. The unfinished part is what completes the project's logic. It extends from Fernão Dias to Raimundo Pereira de Magalhães Avenue, an essential point to connect the northern axis to the western section of the ring road. It's in this phase that some of the main technical challenges appear. The northern ring road crosses a sensitive region from both a geographical and environmental point of view. There are areas close to the Cantareira Mountains, surrounding communities, rocky massifs, tunnel sections, and major civil engineering structures. That's why building there is not just about paving a strip of land. It's about opening tunnels, stabilizing slopes, and reinforcing old structures. In some places, it was necessary to redo beams that had been exposed for years and work on areas affected by a prolonged stoppage. An example is in the tunnels. According to the São Paulo government, the project has 7 double tunnels, meaning 14 tunnel bores considering both directions. One of them was halted for about 7 years. When work resumed, the teams had to deal with what had already been built and with what still needed to be excavated. In one of the tunnels, 32,000 cubic meters of material were removed, a volume equivalent to about 13 swimming pools, Olympic-sized pools of earth and rock. In addition, in geologically complex areas, plasma fragmentation was used. Unlike the
As áreas geologicamente complexas, foi usada a fragmentação por plasma. Diferentemente de...
This technique breaks rocks more safely and with less vibration, protecting nearby communities. It highlights that the project relies on more than just brute force. It requires fine control, especially in inhabited and environmentally sensitive areas. Another highlight is the viaduct in its final phase, with pillars that reach 55 meters in height, which is equivalent to a building of more than 15 stories. The structure needs to overcome uneven terrain, cross complex areas, and maintain stability on a route designed for a high volume of heavy traffic. And there is still the challenge of rehabilitation. Some beams had to be rebuilt after years of exposure with the construction halted. This shows that resuming a project of this size is not simply going back to where everything stopped. Often the restart begins with inspection, partial demolition, reinforcement, replacement, and reconstruction. In daily use, Siga Fácil also changes the highway experience. The system replaces toll booths with electronic gantries, identifying vehicles by license plate or electronic tag. The idea is to reduce lines, avoid sudden stops, and charge proportionally to the distance traveled. Combined with camera monitoring, cell phone coverage, and the control center, the North Beltway is becoming a more technologically advanced highway than the traditional image of a ring road. Even so, technology doesn't eliminate risks. It only changes the way we manage critical infrastructure. Deep down, the north section brings together 3 challenges: building a new highway, restoring structures, and adapting them, and implementing modern road operations. That's why completion matters so much, not just because of the kilometers of asphalt, but because of the ability to turn a stalled work site into a functional logistics corridor. To understand the scale of the north section, it's worth putting the numbers into perspective. The total investment reported for the project is approximately 3.4 billion reais. Of this amount, about 1.35 billion comes from the state, with financing from BNDES, and approximately 2 billion reais comes from the concessionaire. With 3.4 billion Rs, it would be possible to buy about 45,000 economy cars, each costing 75,000 Rs. It would also be possible to build in a simplified way something close to 3.4 kilometers of underground subway, using as a hypothetical reference the cost of 1 billion Rs per kilometer. The comparison does not replace the technical budget, but it helps to gauge the investment. In terms of length, the nearly 44 kilometers of the north segment surpass some famous ring roads. The M30 in Madrid is about 32.5 kilometers, which means this part of the ring road alone is longer than the inner ring of the Spanish capital. The complete system, once finished, will be on a scale similar to major international ring roads. It doesn't reach the approximately 188 kilometers of London's M25, but it follows the same logic, removing through traffic from the urban center and redistributing flows between highways. There's also a key operational fact. In the first month of operation, the completed section received an average of 15,000 vehicles per day, with about 35% of them being trucks. The scale, therefore, is not just in the size of the infrastructure. It's in the role it can play within a congested metropolis. The future of the northern section depends on the completion of the second phase. When the connection between Fernão Dias and Raimundo Pereira de Magalhães Avenue is delivered, the northern ring road should operate fully, allowing the link with the western section and completing the missing piece in the metropolitan ring road. The expected impact is direct, to reduce the presence of trucks on São Paulo's urban roads, especially on the expressways. According to the Secretariat of Partnerships and Investments, it is estimated that about 18,000 trucks will stop circulating daily in the capital once the section is complete. In addition, the São Paulo government states that the new route should improve logistical integration with highways such as Dutra, Fernão Dias, Ayrton Senna, and Bandeirantes, as well as facilitate access to the port of Santos. But the future also requires caution. A highway of this size alone does not solve all the mobility problems of Greater São Paulo. It changes the flow, redistributes traffic, and creates a new route for cargo. Even so, the real effects will depend on operation, maintenance, safety, tolls, supervision, and integration with the rest of the network. That's why this stage should be seen less as a magic solution and more as strategic infrastructure. If the final delivery happens as planned, São Paulo will end a wait of more than a decade. And what today still appears as construction sites, tunnels, viaducts, and schedules could turn into a new traffic pattern for Brazil's largest metropolis. The northern section of the Rodoanel is not just another highway on the map of São Paulo. It is the final chapter of an old promise to take part of the heavy cargo out of the city and move it outside the metropolis. If it works as planned, it will be remembered for showing that building infrastructure of this scale can be challenging. But without a doubt, it's necessary for the development of an entire region. Thank you for watching this video until the end. What do you think the result will be when the northern section of the Mário Covas Beltway is completed? And how will that impact your life? Leave your opinion in the comments. I'll stop here. Big hug and see you in the next video.